Just late for everything, tackles, the whole lot, like usual.
What type of tackles?
I'll not go there.
We'll keep that. That's for a different podcast. I forgot I got a new mobile a couple of days ago. So when it came to putting in my headset, I was like, "There's no hole here for my headset. Where's the hole?" That's what he said.
Dear me.
Here, edit this out.
Conor, not at all. This is comedy gold. Conor came on. The first thing he said was the technology got the best of him.
Oh God. Hello now.
You're the tack man too?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that now. Fucking hell. Absolute disaster. But anyway, we got there in the end.
We got there in the end. Listen, we'll crack on then. Now you're in the live studio.
Yeah, go on ahead.
Yeah, good man. So Conor McAnallen, thanks for joining us again. Now,
thank you. Great to be here.
We've got another next door neighbour of yours on the podcast.
That's it. It's you and Kieran, two superb footballers.
Were you stuck in the middle?
I just wasn't in their class, to be honest with you, but yeah, there you are.
Very good, very good. All right, so Conor, I spoke to you briefly. We sent you the Keepie Uppies questions, so we'll go through them in due course.
Okay.
We'll kick off the conversation just from the beginning. You can chat us through your footballing journeys, and we'll go from there. Have a bit of crack along the way.
Okay.
So Conor,
yes.
Start with a wee easy one. Who was your? Well, I know who you supported, unfortunately, but for those people that don't know, who did you support, and who's your football hero growing up?
When I grew up, my football hero was Jaap Stam, and I'm a big Man United fan. Jaap Stam and Roy Keane, probably more so Roy Keane. But my younger years when I was playing centre back, I was a massive Jaap Stam fan, so I studied him a lot. Unfortunately, didn't have the same physique as him, but still tried to model my game on him a little bit. But yeah, big Man United fan. Back from mid-90s to 2004, 2005, once the old guard left, I kind of drifted away, and I wouldn't really say, I couldn't really call myself a supporter now, to be honest. So, yeah.
So it was Jaap Stam. So why did you have David Beckham posters plastered around your room? What was that all about? Or was it just...
No, you were never in my room. And you know that. Paddy would never let you into my house. No, David Beckham, great player. I wasn't really a Beckham fan. Didn't really... wasn't my type of player. But that's it. He had a great career, but no Beckham posters around me.
No, I have to say, Jaap Stam, he was a brilliant defender. And then Fergie, there was a bit of a falling out, wasn't there, or something? He left a wee bit early. Was it something to do with autobiography?
I think he crossed him with the autobiography saying that he was tapped up, possibly illegally, but Fergie tried to make it out that it was maybe a footballing reason, saying that he had come back from an injury and he had lost a yard of pace, which obviously wasn't the case because he went on and had a superb career after that.
Defender.
He went on, had probably another 7-8 years at the top. Was at Lazio and then Milan. Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
He was fantastic. He was fantastic for Milan right up to his late 30s.
That was the funny thing. Fergie gave the reason, footballing reasons. He's lost a yard or two of pace, and then next thing he brought in Laurent Blanc, and you're like, what?
yeah.
He brought in a guy that's about 10 yards slower.
Yeah, but Stam went and played right back for Milan, and he was flying, so he was. What a player. You'll agree. A wonder player, probably the best centre-back. One of the best centre-backs.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely. He's probably the second best Dutch centre-back in Premier League history.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't disagree. I know what you're talking about. I think he's good too. Now,
who am I talking about?
Another great player.
Yeah,
can't deny that now. Very, very, very calm, very assured.
Right, so
like young Conor McAnallen.
I don't know about that.
Well, he was sweeper, like you know the way you love the sweeper system, Richie.
Yes, I was a sweeper myself from the youth.
I'd loved the wee sweeper role.
Sweeping's it's a nice position to play now, but I'd say when you go back, when you move to levels where they're looking to play offsides and flat back forwards, it's kind of hard to adjust again. So it is. you know.
So take us through then. What's your earliest memories then of underage football?
Underage football. Listen, where it got serious was obviously now our under-12 team. I remember playing with Billy Ganley's team the previous couple of years, playing in the Gordon playing fields. And I remember actually starting out as a striker and coming on at half-time in the Gordon playing fields and playing up front and scoring a hat-trick in the second half, which people will find funny because there's no goals in me. But I was just playing on the last man and boys were beating the ball with half-an-hours flying through and I scored a hat-trick in about 15 minutes. But that doesn't tell the true story because I probably missed 5 or 6. Probably could have scored 8 and I missed probably 4 one-on-ones. But I remember playing with Billy Ganley's team and then halfway through the season, Billy moving me into sweeper, and I'd never heard of sweeper, but he sort of gave me a sort of briefing on how to play a sweeper. And then I continued that position. Then we moved into Eugene's team. It was under 12, wasn't it, Al?
Yeah. All the age groups kind of got changed.
Yeah, but the age groups changed. So I was in the year. We were with boys that were maybe the school year below us. But anyway, Eugene O'Hagan took the team, and we had a very, very successful wee team there. A great wee team, and we won all round us, didn't we? We won everything.
We did first couple of years. Yeah.
Leagues, cups, Ulster Cups, the Northern Ireland Cup, and it was probably the most successful period in my whole footballing career. I think it's the only time I won medals and stuff, so it was great. And again, I was starting to learn how to play the game properly, you know.
And what's your, I suppose, best memories of that kind of under 12? Obviously, there was the Northern Ireland Cup. We went over to France as well,
it was the France tournament was the highlight, you know, because we had obviously done very well. We were the best team in Northern Ireland. It's amazing to say that back then. We beat all comers. We were Northern Ireland champions, and then we went over to France. And then when we went over to France, it was playing against different cultures, players from different races, different teams, professional teams, and I was getting to test yourself against guys that you could see straight away were at a different standard of what we had played against before in terms of their touch and their footballing ability. So that was great, the big test, and it was good going over playing in a warmer climate and all that. There, it felt that you were actually getting a wee taste of what professional football would be like.
Yeah, and when for you, I suppose, because I suppose you were probably we'd probably about half a dozen or more, probably really good players, but you were probably one of the standout players. When did teams start getting involved, or when was Paddy being topped up by agents? Was it round about under 12?
Well, I'll disagree with you. The standout player that season, Al, was actually yourself. Remember, under 12 when we won everything, you were player of the year. And I'll be the first man to admit you were our best player that year, and you outperformed me. But for whatever reason, it was around that time, a lot of scouts started knocking on the door. I think it was because I'd started going to the Spurs School of Excellence. Joe McAree up in Dungannon run it, and Dixie Rums was a really good coach, but always had that natural pace. So I was a very, very fast defender, and I could play out. So I think I was catching the scouts. So I think what happened then was a lot of the best strikers we were playing with, the Northern Ireland Cup, we were playing teams from Derry, and you were hearing about these really good strikers. And I actually think the scouts were coming to watch the strikers, and then because of my attributes, I was actually marking the strikers and taking them out of the game, and then I was catching the eye that way. And then from there on, I started getting a lot of attention. And then once one club's interested, Arsenal was my first trial.
I thought that.
Yeah, once the one club gets interested, you start getting a bit of a reputation. Northern Ireland's a small country. Before you know it, there's a lot of people coming to watch you. And then if you're doing the business, you will get these offers and these trials. And my first one happened to be with Arsenal, who just won the double that year, which was an amazing experience.
So talk us through that Arsenal trial. What way did it work for those of us that haven't a clue, like myself?
So,
what way did it work? Did they fly over? Did you play a game?
Yeah, listen, basically what happened was, I think, after the Northern Ireland Cup final, which we all played in Mourneview Park, and I had a decent game as marking a fella from Dungannon that was hotly tipped, and again, I think I did a good job on tucking him out of the game. You were excellent that game, remember, but Stephen Garrett was the scout, and he obviously just spoke to me after the game. He was listening, you've done very well. I've been watching you this past 6 months. I'm taking you over to Arsenal and trial, which I thought was amazing. Like, I couldn't believe it. So, see, everything from 12 to 16, from the ages of 12 to 16, everything I'd planned out to do it came, like, it came into fruition. It was everything went to plan. It was not that it was easy, but everything I worked for it happened. So obviously Kieran Toner, Richie, as I was saying, was a big inspiration. I knew there was a pathway from boys football to getting across the water, because I knew Kieran had trials with Spurs and I'd got a contract, and I said, I want to be like Kieran. And I'd actually played with Kieran around the streets and stuff, and he was an amazing player. I just looked up to him, so I said, right, this is what I want to do. So I went over to Arsenal anyway. I went with a boy called Conor McAnallen, Scud. Do you know Scud?
Oh, yeah.
Conor's a fantastic athlete. And another wee ginger haired fella who I hadn't heard of, but I'm sure you all heard of him now. His name's Steve Davis.
Yes.
No, who's that?
Stephen Davis.
Soccer player.
Rated.
Stephen Davis, unbelievable player. So we went over there, and the season had just ended. Arsenal won the double. Every year Highbury was dug up and reseeded. So we played the trial on Arsenal's pitch, and I'm going to be completely honest, the trial did not go well for me at all, because I had been coming as playing boys. They were maybe playing boys 2 years older than us. Not that was the thing, but I had played in Northern Ireland and maybe in France, and I was pretty comfortable at that level, But when I went there, it was a different ball game altogether. We played in blistering sun, and I remember after half an hour going, holy God, what is this? The players were so sharp, unbelievably sharp. It was a baptism of fire. And Pat Rice was taking us. Pat Rice and Liam Brady were the two academy directors at the time. Mm-hmm. And I remember my feet blistering, but I just remember not being able to cope. The pace of the game was unbelievable. And I remember there was 3 half hours. After the second half hour, I goes, guys, take me off, I'm done. So Steve Davis went into my position at left back. I was playing that game, and he was unbelievable at left back. And I remember looking there going, God, what a player he is. He's making this look easy. And I was just exhausted. So it was very disappointed. I came home very, very disappointed and dejected for about a week. I was really, really sad about it, because I thought, that's such a standard. How am I ever going to get there? But if it lit a fire under me, I said, right, that's the standard. So see, for the next 2 years, I got the head down, and that's when I started training like a maniac. I was going down to that college pitch, and I started training so much harder, started watching what I ate. What I was eating, and that's when I really started thinking about what I needed to do to get another trial and be successful the next time I got a trial. So that's what I did. I got the head down, and within about a year, I was getting trials at Spurs and Leicester, and then I had a lot of interest from, I think at one stage 12 or 13 clubs. I was developing a wee bit physically, getting quicker, and then the next time I got a trial, I made sure I was going to make it count and snap up the chance.
So then obviously Leicester came along. Did you have to go over to Leicester then with, do you remember, I'm sure you do, Bonehead from Cookstown?
Yes, yeah, I do indeed, Steve. He was called Stephen Davis, and I went over with him, yes, and he had told me how amazing the academy setup was, but this was maybe a year or two after the Arsenal trial, so that was fresh in my memory. So I went over at a week for Christmas. I think there was 100 boys from all over Europe. There's boys from Finland, a couple of boys from Australia, England, Scotland. But I made sure, we played 4 games over the course of a week, and I made sure I was on it. I said, do not let this pass. It sounds like it's such a cliche, but I made sure every game I played, I was up for it. And I think out of the 4 games, 3 had really, really strong performances. And the last game, I was a bit tired, maybe didn't do great in the last game, but they invited me back over at the Easter. That was Christmas and Easter. They invited me over again. Same thing, really, really fired up for the trial matches, did well. And then about a week after, I remember the phone ringing, and I was upstairs in bed, and I hear my dad going, right, so they wanted to sign that. Well, that's good news. And I remember my heart skipping a beat. And I go, well, there we go, that's what I wanted. And then I was offered the contract and, talked to the coach to flew my mum and dad over. And it turned out they offered me a really, really good contract. Usually a lot of boys would get offered a 3-year YTS, which is your youth team scheme. I was offered a 1-year YTS and a 2-year pro, so I was offered a professional contract, which I could sign on my 17th birthday. So that was probably the end of football being plain sailing for me, to be honest. That's whenever the going got tough and it became a career. And say Leicester wasn't just a bed of roses like everyone assumes it was. It's tough. So that was me over from 16 now. You remember I finished the GCSEs, and that was me away, packed my bags and gone.
And you kind of touched on it there earlier, though. I always remember you were, 100% dedicated. And, some people, when they're talking around the town, if you're bumping into lads at pubs, they're saying, I remember such and such, he could have made it, and he technically is very good. But you need to you need to want it as well. It's kind of clear even the way you're talking to us now, and it was even clear way back when you were 12, 13, you wanted it, and you were prepared to go to the college straight after school. When probably the rest of us were playing FIFA and Football Manager, you were just completely dedicated and determined.
Yeah.
And that you got to have the skill, but equally you got to want it as well.
Yeah, I saw my that first trial at Arsenal. I saw my shortcomings, and I knew what I needed to do. So them college groundskeepers must have hated me, because they would have lined out the hockey pitch, the gravel with the white lines. And as soon as the white lines were out, I was doing sprinting doggies between them, and I'm messing them all up. So it was, but yeah, I definitely knew where I wanted to go, and you were a big part of that too. Now you would have come down and helped me. I would have spent hours trying to dribble past you. Remember, even though I was a defender too, and you were a tough test.
I don't know about that. You just needed to knock it past him a couple of times and away you go. Couldn't catch you. That's probably why they've put the fence around the college now, because of you. Mind the money you're costing, sort of putting the white lines on.
Yeah, I was digging them up. Sorry about that.
No, there were good times.
Yes.
So you went over to Leicester. So what was your... Can you remember what your first day was like, walking onto the training field?
Yeah, I remember
what it was like in the facility.
Yeah, I remember. I would have known a few of the boys from trials, and my first thought was, physically as a late developer, my first thought was, God, these boys are a lot older looking than me, a lot stronger looking, and ability wise, I was going from, you suppose you're maybe feeling like a big fish in this small pond, that I was middle of the road, So I'm going, there's a lot of boys better than me here. I'm not the worst here. I'm middle of the pack. I'm going to have to work really, really hard. But I remember the first week was pre-season training, and we did a lot of running. We had a real tough coach called Steve Bigelhole. He was actually, I think he was doing Northern Ireland Women's for a period of time there, or the under-21s, but real tough guy. Ran us into the ground, like really intense run. I don't think I've trained as hard since, but I actually ended up doing really well in all the fitness work, because I'd worked hard before I went over. So it was actually 2 or 3 of the Irish boys were topping all the fitness tests, and I was regularly there at the top of the fitness tests. We did fitness tests up this hill called Beacon Hill. Don't know if you remember telling you. It was like a big hill, like a big mountain you jogged up, and there's a beacon at the top of it. So, and then you jog up it and then jog down, and one of the coaches would be at the top of the walkie-talkie, and one of the coaches would be at the bottom of the hill with a walkie-talkie, and the coach at the top, whenever the coach at the bottom said go, the coach at the top hit the stopwatch. So the week before, the first team had been over, and Dennis Wise had set the club record, and it was 7 minutes and 2 seconds to get from the bottom of the car park to the top of this beacon. And then me and an Irish fella called Ryan McGavigan touched the beacon about a week later at 6:58. So 2 16-year-olds had actually beat Dennis Wise's club record. So that was my first week. So I got off to a good start. But listen, that was aerobic fitness. I was always going to be fit. I was very, very light, So I was always going to be good at the running. But then, we started the games and stuff. And the first lot of games went very, very well. Felt very sharp. We were full-time training. You were getting niggles now. You were getting a lot of niggles going from training Tuesday and Thursday at Brownlow pitches to on a Saturday in the Gordons to training full-time 5 days a week in the game on the Saturday. But yeah, you adapted and you got very, very sharp, and your ability in the ball got a lot better. But I remember sort of hitting November time, dark nights coming in, a wee bit of depression, a wee bit of homesickness kicking in. So I didn't really talk much about it, but I did get a bit homesick, and I struggled maybe for November to February with a wee bit of depression, a wee bit of homesickness. But once the lighter days came in, then February came in, the performances and the pitches, my mood, everything lifted. And then from February to May, I played really well and started to enjoy life a wee bit more again, but I did have a wee dark period for my first year anyway. So,
and you do hear that a lot. I got homesickness when I went to Jordanstown first year.
Yeah,
it was Dalriada Halls for about a couple of days. I was near looking home.
Yeah, that's strange.
So goodness knows what it'd be like if I head over to Leicester.
Yeah, it was a wee while takes getting settled now. But the second year I was grand,
Good stuff. And Richie, you're taking over.
Well, it's just interesting listening. You talk about your drive as a 12-year-old, and obviously then your homesickness when you're a little bit older and away from home. Obviously, all that drive came with a lot of support, and no better man than your daddy, who's football man as well. So you're coming from a football daft household where I'm sure you're encouraged then just to kick on and with that support. So I'm sure you'd like to tilt the hat to them.
Big time, yeah. My dad was there from day one. He was very, very supportive. I had given him his dues. He was hard on me, but I probably wouldn't have done. I probably would have stopped playing at 15, 16 if it wasn't for my dad. Well, maybe not, but he was very supportive, and he made it. It was a bond that we shared with the football. A lot of me and my dad aren't like a father son. We're more like friends, and a lot of that closeness came shared from the football, the away trips and the chats and the Saturday nights, and you know what I mean. So a lot of our relationship was based in football.
Well, as I say, when the dark times, it's all that's where you want to go to. You want to go home, and you want to recapture that. It's the things you miss. But as I say,
that's it, Richie.
And you can always keep you ticking over.
That's it, and you could always rely on the football sort of. But at that time, I was not bad a headspace. My performances on the pitches were terrible. Like I was on the pitch and I was starting every game, but I just wasn't fired up. The games were passing me by, and I just had no appetite for the game. But again, back then, nobody knew about mental health or anything like that there. And I was just very passive in the games. And the coach, John Rudkin, he's now the director of football at Leicester City. He's still there. John Rudkin, brilliant coach. He was very good to me, and goes, listen, we signed you in a professional contract. We know what you got. Just try and relax, try and be happy. But he didn't really know. I never opened up to him, told him what was going on in my head, But again, I think I think what it was, Richie, was getting to February, you're getting home in June for a month. And I think with that on the horizon, my mood picked up, and with that there, the performances just skyrocketed again,
Yeah, no, fantastic. What age then are you talking here now, Conor?
I was 16 when I moved away, 17, 18, 19, came home at 19, I was there for 3 years, between 16 and 19, so the first year was a struggle.
Yeah. And then also overall, that experience, obviously, that you've done a lot of growing up quickly.
Yes,
being away
definitely.
From home, a proper life's lessons. Big
time. You had to grow up quick, and you had to hold your own. Obviously, a thing was for me was I still had it in the back of my mind, like the size of the other players. I was still very thin. I was such a light player, and these boys were shaving twice a day. Some of these boys, but the thing is, I got into a couple of fights with the bigger boys, and I would always hold my own. And I remember getting into a scrap on the training ground, and the academy director called me in, and I thought he was going to, go mad at me, but he just goes, "I'm glad to see you sticking up for yourself." You know what I mean? So I remember getting in fights in the digs. It was tough. So it wasn't just, that must have been amazing. I had a lot of struggle over there as well. If I'm perfectly honest, a lot of nice memories, a lot of lovely memories. You could tell players you've played against and that there, but it was tough. I wouldn't rate it as a dream-like experience. It was a mixed bag. Yeah.
Let's say it makes you the man you are today. You went over there with discipline. You came back probably more disciplined and more life skills than a whole lot of us have gained at the age of 19. So it sets you in a good place stepping into adulthood.
It did indeed, yeah. I learned some things from about mindset and discipline, partly discipline, which I take into my own job today. But obviously, you get to an age where they're offering out other contracts and stuff, and you sort of know where you stand with it. Like I had no regrets. I'm not one of these guys that's going to go, you know what? If this hadn't happened, I should have made it. Just at that age when they're making decisions, I just physically wasn't ready for that caliber of football, and that's the way it was,
So that was it a decision from Leicester then?
It was indeed, Richie. Yeah, it was Dave Bassett was making the decision, D-Day they call it, from where most of the boys, Mark, McCann, Kieran, Toner, would tell you about it, is at the end of the season, they call the whole youth team in and they tell you whether they're keeping you and letting you go. And for most of us, the writing was on the wall. We knew who was getting let go and who was getting stayed. And there was boys that were far better than me got let go, and there was boys that I thought I was better than got kept on for another year or two. But ultimately, most of the academy team players do get let go, and I can't complain on the decision to let me go. But I had a couple of really good experiences game-wise in the last year,
Yeah, playing against men, no doubt.
Yeah, playing against some players that went to the very top. Yeah, one.
We're hoping to find out that in their Keepie Uppies questions.
Yes.
So your Leicester story ended then.
It did indeed,
Richard. Opportunities with other clubs in England, or?
Well, I came home. Well, I came home and I had a tendonitis. I was actually injured. I was carrying injuries in my last year. I had bad tendonitis in my groin, which hampered me a lot. I was playing and then out for 2 games and playing again, and obviously when you're in and out of the team for the last 6 months, you're not really going to be in the forefront of the first team manager's thoughts. Like, so no, I came home with an injury, and I did have an agent that goes, listen, I can get you a few trials. But see, once you come home, once my feet set foot on Ireland again, a month passes, 2 months passes, you're back home, and basically that was it. That was the dream was over. And I was dejected, and I was a bit depressed, a bit down in the dumps, didn't know what I was going to do. And to be honest, I didn't even try, Richie, to go back, which is a regret. But at that time, I didn't even think about going back, you know.
Yeah. Let's say you get yourself in the right place, you know, and the big thing is about enjoying what you're doing, you know, doing it for the love of doing it.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, you have to play football for the right reasons.
Exactly, and then we kick on then to your playing career, Armagh City, Lurgan Celtic, etc. Do you want to take us on that journey then? How that kicked off?
Yes. So I came home and I didn't play football for a few months. I wasn't that fussed when I was going to take it up again, and I actually spent a wee bit of time in Portadown. I wouldn't say I think I trained with Portadown for maybe 6 or 7 months, and I did actually get. It was a really, really good squad. So it was a squad that I wasn't going to break into at 19 because they were all lads that had been across the water too, plus 5 or 6 years of Irish League experience. Fantastic players. I did get about 6 or 7 games for them towards the end of the season. Keith O'Hara got injured, and they were keeping him, trying to get him ready for the Irish Cup final. So I played left back, and to be honest, they were probably the 6 easiest Irish League games I've ever played because, you know, I was coming home, I was still sharp as a tack from being across the water, but you had so many brilliant players around you, Gary Hamilton's and all. Wes Boyles, God, every single player in that team was an Irish League. So you had 10 options in the ball every time you got it, you know. So I cruised through the games, and then that sort of goes right. I know I'm good enough to play Irish League, so that was whenever I said, well, listen, I'd love to play at this level. This will do me rightly. So obviously it was a time I didn't think. Well, Ronnie said, you're not ready. You're only 19. That Henry McStay had just come back from Leeds, was playing right back in my position. So they got me a move. Ronnie was very good and got me a move to Glenavon. And Glenavon was sort of where I played a couple of seasons of Irish League, and it was a club that I really, really loved being at. Again, we regret that I didn't stay there longer, but Jimmy Brown signed me there, and I went into the team, maybe not just as gifted as the Portadown team was at, but I got to play 2 full seasons of Irish League football and got to play at all the grounds, played against all the teams at an era where Irish League was very, very strong. So, and I got to play alongside Jared McMahon on a regular basis, which was always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Who was one of an Irish League greats. So really, really enjoyed my time at Glenavon. It didn't really end the way I wanted it to. I was still a few years off my peak when it ended, but I was there for a couple of seasons. Had some great games in my first season. Towards the end of the season, were in a relegation dogfight, and I had a couple of really good months towards the end. Got a couple of individual awards, you know, Player of the Month for a couple of months towards the end, and that was great. I'll always remember that. I have a couple of videos, and I've kept all the wee match reports, and it was all very positive from that back in that time. My first season at Glenavon, I had great reports, and it was all it was a great place. I know starting out at Linfield, my first game was Mourneview Park against Linfield. Now you'll remember that game didn't go too well for me, so it didn't.
Did that end up?
Well, I think I'd only trained a couple of weeks with them, and. The scene I was very fast in training, so they put me in there playing right wing, and I can't cross the ball, Richie. I couldn't cross my legs, so I'm playing against the best team in the country at a completely alien position. But I mucked in, tried to get stuck in. But about 15 minutes in, I played a horrific crossfield pass, and I got cut out on the halfway line by Oran Kearney, and I said, right, someone's going to tackle him. He danced past about 6 players and stuck it in the top corner. So 15 minutes into my Irish League debut, I've cost us a goal. And then it's an uphill battle, and we ended up, I got battled on at right wing, tried to do what I could, but it wasn't my position. We ended up getting beat 5-0 or something, you know, and then next game, Dungannon's Fish were hammered again, me playing right wing, fish out of water. And then on the third game, Jimmy Brown goes, Conor, will you play right back? And I goes, well, that's where I play. And then after that, it was all plain sail. I got back in, found my feet, and really, really loved it. I'll always remember, I probably only played 40 games for Glenavon. I'd say a lot of the fans probably can't remember me, but I always remember the way the fans made you feel there. They were very supportive. Every header you won, every tackle they won, the fans would get behind you and really, really encourage you. And very happy memories of a couple of seasons there. You know,
who would have been playing with Glenavon? Who else, apart from obviously Jared McMahon, was?
Well, there was Jared McMahon. Who would have been there? Stephen McAlorn would have been playing. Paul Rice would have been the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
There was Davy McAlinton went on to Cliftonville. Aaron Black. There are a lot of boys. Conor Walsh was another one. Paul McKnight, Paul McKnight actually played first team games for Rangers. He was playing.
That's right. Yeah.
Then there would have been. Who else would there have been? I'm trying to think. It's not long ago. This is 15, 16 years ago now. So it was.
That's a decent wee.
Yeah, no, it's a long time ago.
But Tony Grant, no, he wouldn't have been knocking about.
No, Tony Grant came after that point. So no,
back,
he would have left, come back. Yeah, but say your standout player was obviously Jared. He was the club captain and already a club legend at that stage. So it was. It wasn't a team. It wasn't a brilliant. It wasn't like a real. It was a team we were struggling more at the foot of the table around that era. Good players, but just weren't finding the feet.
But you were obviously down to forward that video on. You must have been waiting for this podcast interview just to kind of forward on those 3 or 4 clips. The one that you were caught out of position and then made the Bobby Moore tackle?
Well, that was against Ballymena United, and if we lost that game, we were mathematically relegated, so that was a crucial tackle now.
That was yeah.
I hope...
I loved the tackles you did.
I hope there's a few die-hard fans, Glenavon fans, remember that, because we were 1-0 down at that point, and he was about to pull the trigger, and I just got there in time, but yeah, that was around the time when I was just starting to find I was flourishing at that level,
Yeah.
We'll have to share that as part of the podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, finished your career at Glenavon, finished at what age, Conor, before you moved on?
I was 21, I think, so it was obviously a new change of management now came in, and now I still with the new manager, I did play at most games. I must have started 70-80% of the games, but I didn't start that season in the team. I had to work my way into the team, and in fairness, I got plenty of opportunities, so I did, and I did play, and I did rightly. I think most of the games I did really well. I'd say I was 75% of the games I did play, I played well. Obviously at 20, 21, you're going to have a few games where you're iffy. I was a bit inconsistent in a couple of games, but definitely thought in the games I did play, I did very well. Again, I've still kept the reports, and most of them are good reports, good reviews, and I've good memories of playing quite well. I remember getting an operation in my groin on a Friday night, and the nurses and doctors said, you had no football for 3 weeks, you have an open wound there, and you've been on anaesthetic, no football. The next day, Glenavon we were playing Glentoran at the Oval. And the manager goes, you're hardly fit to play, are you? And I go, no, I'm fit. He goes, but you had an operation. You're told not to play. You're under anaesthetic. He goes, if you need me to play, I'm playing. And he threw me in, and I played up at the Oval against a really strong Glentoran team. And we actually could scrape the draw that game. And I remember having a real enjoyable game. Probably more nerves than adrenaline, because I knew I shouldn't have been playing, But I didn't get any mud into the wound, and I got to keep my leg,
Very good. So where did the ventures take you then beyond Glenavon?
After Glenavon, Lurgan Celtic, probably would say, everyone would ask, I'd say I'm more a Lurgan Celtic man more than anything, probably give my best years to Lurgan Celtic. Say when I'd left Glenavon, I was maybe only 21. I'd only played 19, 20, 21. I was still years off my peak. So I was very disappointed leaving Glenavon, Richie, to be honest. I was very bitter about it. I wanted to stay there. I think I could have stayed there for 10 years and I would have had a really good time there. I loved the big pitch and all. But it wasn't to be, and I was a wee bit, again, I was kind of like coming home from Leicester again. I actually thought I'd done enough. I said there'll be a couple of other clubs will come look at me. And the phone never rang, so I was a wee bit browned up. Maybe he was going to leave football again, and then Pat McGibbon, in fairness, came and says, listen, Conor, come on into Lurgan Celtic. You have to keep playing. I've watched you playing. I watched you playing towards the end of the season. You were doing really well for Glenavon. Come for us for a season, use it as a stepping stone, and we'll get you back into the Irish League. So I went to Lurgan Celtic, and see, to be honest, Lurgan Celtic was a fairy tale story for me. It was a brilliant club, and I really, really enjoyed. I think I was there maybe 8 years. So Pat threw me in, and obviously I think a few of the Lurgan Celtic boys weren't that sure about me. They didn't. They knew I'd come back from England, knew I'd played at Glenavon. I think they thought I was going to be a bit of a prima donna, and they were probably the first couple of trains. I think they were trying to suss me out, and then see what it was about, and then they really found out pretty soon that I'd give it back pretty quickly, and then I got a feeling of respect from all the boys very, very, very quickly, and I became one of the lads and settled in very well. I think Pat, after about 3 months, Pat made me team captain at 21, which was great for Pat because it gave me a lot of confidence and I was only Lurgan Celtic were Championship 1, so I was only playing a league below. We're playing Bangers, your Harden Wolf Welders, your Arge, Carrick Rangers. You're playing a good level of football.
Yeah.
And I settled in there, played centre back, and really loved it. I was flying and got Player of the Year my first year there, which was did very, very, find it handy enough at that level. And yeah, so I had a great first season there. And Pat goes, yeah, you've done enough. So a lot of the boys were asking at the end of the season, well, Conor, you'll hardly be staying. There'll be a few clubs coming in for you after the way you played. But you have to realise nobody comes looking for defenders. If you're scoring 20 goals a season, yeah, you'll get someone. There's that boy in the paper scored an odd goal. Defenders, no one really hears about a defender playing well. So that was happening. Nothing really materialised. So I was me at Lurgan Celtic for a few years. And I can't really remember the next 2 or 3 years. It was like a period where I can't really remember. I was there and I was playing centre back. But I always think my Lurgan Celtic career, well, hardly a career, but journey was split into 2 halves because I played from I was 21 to 24, 25, and then I had a life-changing illness at 25 now. I don't know you remember, can you?
Yeah. Same as
Darren
Fletcher.
Darren Fletcher, yes. I suffer from an autoimmune disease. And Marty Tabb. Marty Tabb had taken over Manchester. I love playing for Marty Tabb. I don't know, he's a Cliftonville legend, real tough guy. And Marty, I was playing under Marty, who I had a lot of time for, really loved him. A lot of the boys didn't like him because he was very blunt, but he was my type of manager and that's his type of player. And I took really, really, really sick and ended up going into hospital in May and not coming out till August. So not to sound too dramatic, but it was a touch and go experience. It was a near death experience because I had 3 blood transfusions, and basically I was told if I didn't get an operation, and it was the end for me. But I didn't want to get the operation, so I was just determined not to get it. I says I can't have that operation. It's not something I'd cope well with mentally. Yeah. And my dad knew I wasn't going to get it, so 3 months. And I wasn't a big lad still. I was still early 20s, still very slight frame. I was maybe 11 stone, very wiry, but my weight dropped to 8 stone 3. I was severely ill, so 8 stone 3 at 5'11". I was a sorry sight. So Marty Tabb had actually moved to Donegal Celtic, who were back in the Irish League, and lo and behold, he was looking to take me up to Donegal Celtic to play with him and back in the Irish League. But he came up to see me in hospital and he took one look at me and goes, "Son, listen, don't you worry about football, just you get yourself better." So football was the further thing from my mind. I was struggling, just fighting every day. It was a battle to stay conscious, really. So not to get too dramatic about it, but anyway, my dad, who again was my biggest supporter, he was up every day. I was scheduled for this operation, but my dad, knowing what my mindset was like, goes, "Listen, we're not giving him he's not getting the operation, I'm taking him home." And they got me the strongest painkillers going, the strongest prescription painkillers you could get. And my dad took me out of the hospital and took me home. And with these painkillers, I started to recover very slowly. Listen, it was, I spent the next 2 months high as a kite. I was on opium-based painkillers, and actually they made you feel very nice, but I needed the pain relief because the pain was draining me. But with the pain relief, I started to see slow signs of recovery. So I was back in Mum and Dad's house, starting to try and learn to walk again. Walking up the stairs was a struggle. Everything was a struggle. The legs were like sticks. So I started my recovery. First time I walked around the block was a miracle. I couldn't do a press up. Couldn't do anything, and as a guy that I'd always had to keep myself physically fit. So I was out of football for a year, and after that there, I'd actually started working in the gym. So after I was 6 months before I was able to go back to my job in the gym, and then I started a very slow process of building myself up in the gym, researching how to get stronger, how to get better, and it was maybe a year before I kicked football again. And Kieran O'Kane had taken over at Lurgan Celtic then, and then he said, got myself back involved with Lurgan Celtic. Very nervous about my first game. Worried about was I going to be able to run as fast as I could before. And after one game, I realised that I could. And once I knew I had that still in the locker, I was happy to continue playing because I wasn't going to play again. I was just happy to be alive. So, Kieran, between 25 and 30 were my 5 best years for Lurgan Celtic. I loved playing under Kieran. Kieran really didn't talk much to me. I didn't talk much to him. But Kieran just left me to my own devices, put in the table, goes, "Conor, just go and do." He moved me into midfield. And in midfield, that was where I played my best football ever.
What? In midfield?
No, I don't
He
know
can
what
stick you
word.
anywhere, just apart from right wing.
Threw me into midfield and loved it. Just, it was like playing centre back. You're always calculated, weighing things up, reading the game, and went into midfield and played in a really good team with Aaron Herr, Remy Fitzpatrick, some really, really good players. And with a big bit of success, we won a Radcliffe Cup. My first year back from the illness, we won the Bob Radcliffe Cup, which was my only silverware I think I've ever won as a senior player. And my first year back from the injury, I'd actually made a massive physical transformation. Obviously, from going to the gym and stuff, and I just hit my peak there. Then it was a player I wish I had become maybe at Glenavon 4 or 5 years earlier, and I got my second player of the year in the 2011-2012 season, my first year back. So I managed to get player of the year my first year after the illness, and then played with Lurgan Celtic. Loved it. Played with Kieran under Kieran. Got the Radcliffe Cup semi-final the second year. Unfortunately, got beaten that, and then played again. I kept playing. Then 2013-2014, got player of the year again for the third time at Lurgan Celtic, which is my third year. So really, really loving life at Lurgan Celtic. Sort of thought maybe if I was a chance to get back to the Irish League, after getting a couple of players of years, someone might have come knocking on my door, but wasn't to be. So I was happy to stay at Lurgan Celtic for see the rest of my days out. But I did get a phone call that summer, and it was from Armagh City. So Armagh City had been promoted into the Championship, and they had a really, really, really good squad. So Lurgan Celtic were now in the third division. We would have been Championship 2 at the time. So obviously I wanted to go at a higher standard because I thought, this Armagh City's a good team. They can maybe get promoted into the Premiership. So Marty Rice rang me and says, "Listen, Conor, you've played a few really good games. You've been a thorn in our side for the last few seasons. We've plenty of really good football and midfielders, but we need someone to do the nasty stuff. We need a nasty boy in there to break it up and give it to the boys that can play, do the creating." Say I didn't have much in attacking and stuff, but I loved winning headers and winning tackles. So Marty brought me up. Marty was brilliant with me. By this stage, I'd obviously met my wife shortly after the illness, Siobhan, and we had our first son. So Marty had brought me up and says, "Listen, honey, you can train one night a week. I know you're fit as a fiddle. You're working in a gym. You can train on a Thursday night and play on a Saturday." And then, again, Armagh City had nothing but good things to say about that club. A fantastic club. I've stayed there for 4 seasons. Actually, right up until the pandemic, I was at Armagh City. Loved every minute of it. Actually got to a lot of cup finals, 3 or 4, couple of Mid-Ulster Cup finals. Got beaten them, both by Dungannon Swifts. We played a lot of games, played a few Irish League teams, playing at a good standard. Championship 1, again, big 4G pitch, shooting me down the ground, loads of room to recover from being out of position. So again, I really enjoyed my time. I think it took me a wee while to win over some of the ones around Armagh City because Lurgan Celtic and Armagh City had a big rivalry, and obviously there was a better rivalry. And I'd have probably had a few of their players and a few bad tackles over the years, which they let me know my first day in the changing rooms. Like, I remember Liam Cullen, who's a veteran there, he played for them over 400 times, and I sat beside him and he goes, "Well, glad you're in our team now." He goes, "Because you tackled me about 6 months ago and I haven't been right since." So then there's snowball. They had a really talented team there. They actually had a lot of boys that went on to play Irish League after that. They were all 23, 24. I was 30 at this stage. I was actually probably coming out of my peak at this stage, but in terms of age anyway. But they had boys that went on to Irish League and a couple of boys that had played Irish League previously. So a really good team. And I loved that. Stayed with them. And obviously dropped down a wee league there. Joe Cure took over. And it stayed there and played under Campbell as well there right up until 2020 till the coronavirus came and ruined everything. So it did. Yeah. But yeah, great wee club, Armagh City. I'd played many, many games, many lovely, happy memories. A wee place I'll always feel at home at as well, So I've been very lucky. I've had 3 teams I can say I've built a wee bond with, Probably Lurgan Celtic would be, I'll remember more than anything because I played the most games for them. But 3 good spells, And maybe not all at a Premiership level, which I would have loved to have played, but a couple of seasons and then various levels throughout, which was, great. I don't really regret a thing. Always applied myself to the best of my ability, and it happened the way it did, and I've no regrets. Always tried my best and did what I had to do.
That's it. Driven is what you sound to me. Driven and hard working and honest. That's the attributes that'll get you through.
Yep.
Conor McAnallen. I was going to say, Conor McAnallen always delivers, even fish suppers.
Richie, you'll want to hear this story because Niall's been down to get this out.
It's the only reason I asked you to do this here.
Okay, it was a Saturday night. and me and Niall had a bad habit from probably I come home from England for the first couple of years. I come home from England, we'd go to the courthouse every Saturday night. Would have 2 or 3 pints at the courthouse, and then we'd start drinking vodka and lime, and we'd go across the Ashburn, God knows to do what, and would stumble out of the Ashburn at 1:30 like everyone else, and we'd go and get a feed, and would stagger home, and that was probably the only period I drank. Now I only drank whenever I was socialising with you. But, yeah, that was one night. Niall must have snuck off home. I don't know why. Might have met a girl, Richie.
It was a Thursday night. I think you're right with the Glenavon ones. I think you're right with Jared McMahon.
It could well have been
the courthouse,
right?
Yeah.
It could have been a Thursday night in the courthouse. Do you know what it was? It was the Thursday night after our last training session. So it was. And with escaped relegation, and me and Jerry were out celebrating with a few pints, and I was feeling top of the world playing for Glenavon with hometown team. I was feeling great about myself. Had too much to drink. Went into the kebab killer. What was it? Kebab King? Burger shop. Well, it might have been burger shop. Anyways, and I ordered a fish supper. But for whatever reason, the young girl gave me 2 fish suppers, and I couldn't have eaten 2. So I went home and I was, I have 2 fish suppers. What am I going to do? Do you know what? I'll see if Niall's hungry. So I walked past Niall's house. And I went down the side of his house.
I was working the next day.
This was maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, and there was 3 windows, and I went to Niall's bedroom window, which I thought was Niall's bedroom window. Started banging on the window. Niall, get up, you useless, you so and so. And I had this fish supper, and I was paralytic at this. I was hardly putting one foot in the other, and so I saw the curtains twitching, and the curtains opened, and I squinted my eyes, and I go, "That's not Niall." I don't think that's Niall. It was Niall's dad standing there in his briefs at 2 o'clock in the morning going, "What is this lunatic doing?" And I go, "Oh my God, I've woken up Niall and Celine, or Niall's dad, I've woken up Colin and Celine." So I sprinted and I legged it through the floor bed, kicked all the floor pots over, legged it back home, didn't even leave the fish supper. And then Niall texted me the next day, "Were you at my house last night?" And I was all, "Niall, I don't know." And then what was the conversation with your dad like now?
It was some crack. I think he wasn't around quick enough because he spotted you out our living room window.
I wasn't moving too well that night. I must have fell a couple of times. And he goes, "I think Conor was at our house last night." And yeah, I was. But I didn't deliver. I took it home with me. God knows where it ended up.
Brilliant. So you say you were playing with Shea Campbell or for Shea Campbell? Shea Campbell.
I was playing for Shea. Yeah, played with and played for him. Yes.
Yeah, me too. I played with him and played with him at the Milk Cup. I played against him when he was at Orchard Youth.
Yeah, I played with him.
Too.
A top game. I have a lot of time for Shea. Good, I consider him a friend. Played with him, played against him, and played under him, and enjoyed all 3 of them. If I'm honest, really enjoyed playing. My last 2 seasons, I was playing with Shea, and he was sort of treating me near like another coach as a senior player. Had a lot of not a lot of pressure, but he gave me a lot of responsibility, and loved playing under him. So great guy, and he's doing a great job. Armagh City now they're going to win that league. They're going to win that league. I think he's going to promote them into the championship if all goes to plan now, which is great. Yeah, he's doing a great job with them. Passionate about the game, very passionate about the game. That's all you can ask for in a manager, you know.
Yeah, the same that you say, he was a dynamic player. He was.
Yeah. He could make it into one
in his youth.
He was. Me and Shea had some battles over the year.
Yeah, he'd have played for Orchard Youth as a kid.
Yeah, and then he had a journeyman. He scored goals at every level, but had a lot of battles with Shea at every level. I think I'd played with him Irish Premier League. I'd played with him in Championship 1. I'd probably played him against him Championship 2 as well. And then, so we knew what each other was all about. And again, he was happy to have me in his team, and I was happy to have him as a manager whenever we got to that stage of our careers, you know.
Absolutely. No, fantastic. Well, that'll take us into run through the Keepie Uppies questions. I'll do it. We'll get a quick fire run through these, and then Tots will have his Wheel of Berber questions for you.
Right.
So you've prepped for these, haven't you? All right.
I have. Yes. There's some of them are hard.
It's tough, isn't it?
It is tough, I have to pick these players. These are players I've played with, Richie, aren't they? My teammates. Yes, now, I left out the brief spell I was with Port. I wasn't with them long enough to really call them. Well, I remember all those lads, but every single answer would be at one of those Portadown players. They were just legends upon legends. So I'm going to omit them from it, So if any of them do happen to listen, Mark McCann's or anyone, don't feel offended. I just wanted to leave it to more of the players I'd played more extensively with. I said I'd only played maybe 7 first team games with them, so I can't really say I played with them for a long period of time. So I've left it to more Glenavon players, Lurgan Celtic, Armagh City players, No,
fair play. All right. From the top then, so best team you ever played for?
Best team I ever played for. Do you know what, Richie? The most successful team I played for was my Sunnyside team. That was at youth level because we won so many medals. The youth team I played for at Leicester City were fantastic players. A lot of them went on to play professionally, but I actually watched a video of us in the FA Youth Cup, and ability-wise, it was a fantastic player, it was a fantastic team. So it was. But I'll have to say the Armagh City team that I first walked into when I was about 30 was full of really, really good players. And if I named all the players, they've all went on to play decent various levels of the Irish League. Very talented team. Some of those players will probably make it into the questions as well. All
right, happy days. All right, so your best captain?
Best captain, Jared McMahon, hands down. Not because he was a shouter, he wasn't, but Jared really helped me when I came into the team. He didn't have to say he was a club legend. Could have just said, ignored me, but really helped me on the pitch. Always give me an option. It was a joy to play with. Made the game so easy. Always encouraged me after the game, before the game. We text Connie did well today, kid, and I'll always remember him for that. There, well, young players need encouragement and they need confidence, and I'll never forget Jared for how he took me under his wing and made me feel as a young player. Whenever I looked up to him, I idolised him because I remember watching him playing for Glenavon when he just come back from Spurs, and going to get to play with him was always a pleasure. So definitely Jared McMahon was the best captain in terms of how he helped me and treated me and how he spoke to his other teammates. For such a talent, he was very down to earth and such a great guy, humble. Yeah,
fantastic. We chatted about that just before we went live. All right, best goal scorer?
Best goal scorer, Campbell. Scored at every level. Do you know what? I'll admit it. There's times I've played against him, completely dominated him. In the 90th minute, he's stuck a scruffy goal in the back stick, or he's fucking bumped into me and got a penalty. Excuse my language. I've put the penalty away. Yeah. Scores at every level, all types of goals. Just poacher, best goal scorer I think I've ever played with.
Brilliant. All right, best touch?
Best touch would be Jared McMahon all day.
You're not the first one to say that.
Unbelievable. It's like a Hoover on his foot, balls coming up around his neck, and he had plucked them down.
You could see Hoover on before.
There you go. That's twice it's been used now. I've never heard it previous. Oh. All right, best keeper?
Johnny Tuffy was the best keeper I played with. Johnny Tuffy, I think, is now at Crusaders. I played with him in the through the various Northern Ireland teams. He played from under 16, under 17, under 18, and even from 14. You could tell the way he looked that he was going to be a professional. Fantastic keeper. Now you'd remember playing against him, playing with him in the Middle Ulster teams and stuff, and the Milk Cup team.
Brilliant. I actually remember him as well with a couple of trials with the schoolboys, and even though he wasn't the biggest, there was something about him. He just commanded his whole box.
He was very commanding, very vocal, and just top drawer. Even his kicking, his distribution, great guy, top guy.
Brilliant. He's a few senior caps, hasn't
he? He does, yeah. Probably a player that I think should have done, played at even better level than he did. He still had a great Irish League career, but the fella could have played Championship, maybe snuck into Premiership if he was a wee bit bigger, In England, I'm talking here,
Yeah. No, very good. All right, best defender?
Best defender was a fella, again, not a lot of players will remember this guy. I don't think he played in the Irish League for too long. He was maybe there at Glenavon a couple of seasons when I was there. It was a guy called Gavin McDonnell, and he was from Dublin. Tall, rugged, fast, good in the ball. I'm sure a few boys will remember, but listen, I remember there's not too many defenders stand out as being spectacular, but as far as winning aerial challenges and coming out with the ball, tackles, show one-on-ones, pace, brilliant defender. Again, I only played one season with him, but he stands out as the best defender I've ever played with.
Brilliant. All right, best midfielder?
Best midfielder would probably be wee lad Philly Donnelly, who is now at Newry. Really good midfielder. Played with him at Armagh City. Again, brilliant touch. Put you in mind of Paul Scholes. Paul Scholes, but only he had a great turn of pace, could bury them right foot, left foot. Philly Donnelly was very, very good. Again, I could say Jared McMahon again, but he would be the answer to so many of these questions because that's how much quality he had. So I'm going to give it Philly Donnelly. He was very good.
Brilliant. We have a few Newry friends and fans now too. So
very good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Best striker.
Best striker would be Remy Fitzpatrick. Remy, Lurgan Celtic legend. Anyone followed Lurgan Celtic? Remy would probably go down as Lurgan Celtic's best ever striker. Well, you argue Stephen McGuinness was a great striker as well. I didn't play with Stephen now, but Remy Fitzpatrick scored 25 goals maybe for 7 seasons in a row. And I'll give him the edge because his all-round play was good. He would win flick-ons. He'd come back and defend. He had a couple of wee tricks. He'd get the odd wee nutmeg in, But he had so much. But it reminds you of Berbatov. Real languid in the ball. He'd suck players in and then stick it through their legs and bury it. Lovely, lovely feat. Remy Fitzpatrick was the best striker I played with. So he was.
Is he playing any football now? Is he?
Remy must be 37, 38. I think he plays a wee bit of Gaelic, but like myself, he's probably a few kids now and doesn't really have much time for the football now,
He's talking like that. I reckon every second Sunday and the odd Tuesday night would suit you then.
Aye, listen, I'll never rule it out. There's still 2 nice pairs of boots in the shed hung up there, but I'll get them on at some point.
Dead on. All right, best left foot.
Paul Carville, hands down. PC. You'll all know Paul. Played with him again, played against him, and only realised how good. And actually, Paul was over in trials with Leicester with me as well. Again, he is really quick as a youngster. He's got smoke a fullback and whip in a wicked ball, but brilliant free kick taker. Roberto Carlos would put you in mind. But when I realised how good his left foot was actually playing against me. I was playing for Lurgan Celtic at right back, and he was playing left wing for Armagh City. And Paul knew he wasn't going to run by me, so he was just whipping the ball around me from, I was getting within 2 yards, and he was just benting the ball around me, even, down the line. I was getting so tight, there's no way he's going to get this past me, and he would just whip it around with his left foot, bend it, I would near go out of play, and he just bend it right back, and Paul's left foot was immaculate, so it was a brilliant player, very underrated player, was over at Preston North End for a long time as well.
Yeah, I even remember at no age he was talked about with the Gaelic. We used to play at St. John's in the Gaelic. And this is when he's only 8 or 9 and they were talking about how good a left foot he had.
Yeah, talented boy, Paul was,
Brilliant. All right, best right foot?
Darren Gibson of Manchester United and Everton fame. Yeah. He was in my Northern Ireland team, must have played a good 20 games with him. And I don't remember him being spectacular footballer at that age, but I always remember him at 16. He was a year younger than me, so he was playing in the team at 15 maybe. Big midfielder, had a bit of arrogance in his play, confident guy. But at 16, boys were usually side foot passing or maybe a wee clip over the top. He was pinging balls, knee high. He was pinging balls, 60-yard diags at 16. The power he had in his legs to hit those type of balls at that age. And then obviously lost touch with him. He went on to sign for United and then broke into the first team. And if you look him up on YouTube, he's actually scored a few belters for United, so he has. But I remember at a young age, not being overawed by him as a player, not going, God, this guy is something else. But I remember a lovely striker, the ball with the right peg.
Very good, very good. Where did was it Everton and Watford? Or?
Everton, and then it was a Stoke. Sunderland, I think Darren's. Darren had injury problem. Obviously he's at Manchester United under Alex Ferguson. He's got a lot about him, but injury problems and what else, other maybe personal problems off the pitch. But a great player and a good lad, if I remember well. But I think his career petered out a wee bit.
He went to Stoke, and I think he had ran into a few Sunderland fans after a few pints. He didn't quite do delivering the fish supper, but he probably didn't. He delivered too many vodkas and slimes.
Yeah, he delivered. I think he delivered a few home truths to the fans, and because he was out drinking, which a player's entitled to do. I think that sort of didn't go against him, as I thought he was this guy who was out in the drink a lot, and then he crashed his car, drink driving.
That's right. Yeah, he was very lucky to come out of that.
But which can happen to anyone. A lot of players. Again, that fella's living away from his family, homesickness. Don't know what's going on with mental health. That was unfortunate, but I think those 2 wee incidents did take a bit out of his career. They did affect him a little bit, and it doesn't take a lot at the top level to maybe push you down the pecking order. If you have 2 boys that are neck and neck, and some boy leads a real clean-cut lifestyle, and another boy crashes his car after a few many, say, vodka and limes. You know, it's an easy decision for the manager in terms of PR and publicity and all that.
100%. Well, that's a good segue, as they say. So, next question: best manager.
Best manager. I played under. Do you know what, Richie? I played under so many good managers, to be honest, and I can I tell you why I like them for different reasons.
Absolutely.
Pat was very good because he encouraged me to stay in football and really encouraged me to get back into football after Glenavon. So Pat was always good to me. I loved playing under Marty Tab because he was a nutcase, and I just loved his approach to the game. He was no nonsense. You know, if I had a bad game, he'd rip me out in front of the changing room, and when I played good, he'd praise me. But he was just so ruthless, and he just, you know, we just seemed to get on. You know, he'd ring me after games, and he would loved him. But then Kieran O'Kane, who didn't talk to me that much, I played my best football under Kieran. And I think because Kieran didn't talk to me, he just let me go to my own device. Kieran knew what way I worked. He knew I didn't need criticism and I didn't need praise. He just threw me in the team, didn't talk to me, and just let me tear away. And I really prospered under Kieran. Plus, he made the decision to move me into midfield. So I really enjoyed playing under Kieran. And then a Joe Cure, another Marty Tab's right hand man. He's on a centre back at Armagh City. Joe Cure was another lunatic, again, very like Marty Tab, cut from the same cloth, real old school, straight down the line, put a lot of responsibility on me. And then my last 2 seasons, when I have 3 kids now, when I should have maybe even thinking about winding down, at Campbell, who got me so fired up before games. Shea was brilliant for me. I was all like, I'm old here. I was 35, and there's boys at 21. He's going to listen, Conor, go in and sitting in there and do the job. He was putting all the pressure on me. Conor, we're depending on you. You lead us from the back. And Shea really got another 2 seasons of, where I actually put on some hard performances for him because he put so much pressure on me that I didn't want to let him down because he's an old friend. He got a real good way of getting me up for the games when at times at 35 the fire in the belly isn't there, but he made sure every time I walked out on that pitch I wanted to kill stuff, you know what I mean? So again, I can't pick a best manager, Richie. You know, I said there's all the managers fantastic. That I played under. They all played on them, and I all enjoyed playing on them for different reasons, you know.
Yeah. And Eugene, what about Eugene as well? I know obviously you might have had the tactical noose maybe as those other ones. He didn't need to because it was such a really good team, but
I
loved playing under him as well.
Yeah, Eugene was great. You know, he had a settled team, and I'll never forget Eugene. Remember I had that Osgood Slatters disease. I was out of football for about a year after that Arsenal trial. I was out for about a year with Osgood Slatters. And Eugene, in fairness, when I was feeling a bit left out, not training, not playing, Eugene would have lifted the phone the odd Friday night and said, "Conor, don't you worry. Get yourself back, and there'll be a place in the team for you when you get back." So Eugene, I'll never forget for that. There, at a sensitive age when football's your life, you know, he sort of, you know.
No, and it's a lot of dedication as well. Even you know yourself, Richie, even if you paid me, I would not manage. But especially probably underage, you know, when you probably dads and mums saying, "Why such and such not playing?" and all the travelling like Eugene would have done, and on top of our own parents, you know, going up to Trojans up in Derry in Northern Ireland Cup quarter final,
massive sacrifices, massive sacrifices. Anyone involved in Irish League football makes a massive sacrifice, whether it's a player or a manager. They're playing, working full-time jobs, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and also the wives that are home looking after the kids and keeping the house together when we're away gallivanting. You know, they deserve a shout out too because it's not easy on them. She might in case she listens here, you know.
I know.
Oh, absolutely.
Make sure you're forwarded on there.
Yeah.
What I learned from an early age, boys, was that you get the women involved, and then you get the free reign of the place. I had a 10-year situation managing Oxford, and I had to make sure the wife was involved in the club as well. So
making the tea or something, that's very sexist.
That's it. That's it. But they were involved; they were part of the journey. So there's a wee tip for any budding coaches and managers out there. But they say they carry the burden. They see you in your highest point and your lowest point. You know, after wins, after losses.
God, they have to deal with you coming home on a Saturday after a bad game. It wasn't really wins. It wasn't wins and losses. It was if we won 3-0 and I was terrible, I'd come home in bad form. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes if we got beat 1-0 and I thought I didn't let the team down, I'd be in better form. When I felt I let the team down, I'd come home in terrible form. And yeah, she had to bear the brunt of that sometimes. Why are you quiet? Sunday planning I go out for Sunday for a meal and I'm still like a bear because I scored an OG or chopped the bag, give away a penalty, or just had a mare in general, And as you get older, I got worse at dealing with bad games. You know what I mean?
It's funny that I was thinking about that the other day because at under 12, and that's maybe over 35, nearly taking me back to under 12s in a way. You're still obviously take it serious, but I just remember underage. You never really worry too much about your performances too much. It's as you kind of get older, I don't know whether you get more anxious or what, you start analysing your own performance.
I think it's when you get older you realise you've less years left, so you want to agree at every game. And I was never the spectacular whipping and crosses or scoring goals or assists, but I always wanted to be, a good 8 out of 10 every week, and then but the thing is, Richie, people don't know that Richie maybe didn't see me play over the years, but I would be very steady. I could be 8 out of 10 for 8 weeks, 9 weeks. But see, when I was bad, I didn't have a 4 out of 10. I had a 2 out of 10. My bad games were horrendous. So it looked like I'd never kicked football and had a bad game. I just got it. I'm a very impatient person. So when I had a bad game, I had a really, really, really bad game. So that's probably why I was in such bad form.
Yeah.
You're basically like the white Titus Bramble. Then is that what you're saying?
Worse, yeah, far worse, yeah. So yeah, plenty of them.
No, very good. All right, so who loves a hard challenge?
Tony Craney. See, to be honest, Richie, I never came across that many hard men in my career that I would say hard man, But I remember Toe had actually sort of retired from the first team my first year at Lurgan Celtic, but I remember Michael Downey pulling up with an injury and Toe having to go on. I actually think this was a pre-season friendly, and Toe came on. I don't even think he had shin pads on. He'd probably stuffed insoles down his socks or something, and Toe walked in. Toe looking dishevelled as hell. He had probably on pints the night before, and the ball breaking between him and some 19-year-old in the middle of the field. This is a pre-season friendly, and Toe just steamrolling him 2 feet, ball taken, clean tackle. The wee lad goes flat, and I just remember the crack of shin hitting shin. And this wee lad flying, and Toe getting up, and then he passed. The wee lad went flying about 6 yards, and Toe passed the ball 3 yards, job done, back into position. 5 minutes later, same thing, headers. Toe would love to tackle, and I think I probably played about 3 games with Toe, but he's the only player I remember making a tackle. I go, holy God, he loves to tackle. He did, and Toe didn't run about like I'm the hard man, but he loved to tackle. He generally just liked making tackles,
Oh, brilliant. All right, quickest player
I played with would the two. Daniel Rand was very, very fast. I go by boys I play. I remember who tortured other teams that I was playing against with pace. Daniel would have given defenders a headlight with his pace alone, and Big Stevie Murray was very quick. Both very quick players. Boys that when they got going, tall players. So boys that when they got going, really, really destroyed centre backs and full backs alike. Very, very, very quick. Played against both of them on numerous occasions too. But just when you're running the mill championship centre backs, we're not going to like playing against them. 2 very quick boys and talented with it. 2 good players.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I've seen Daniel Rand. I've seen a bit of Daniel Rand. He played at Oxford briefly, and I know he's had played. Yeah, scores plenty of goals.
Does, yeah.
All right, best all-round player?
Best all-round player. Who would be the best all-round player? That was one I was sort of struggling, I played with Stephen McAlorum, who went on, had a long career with Glentoran. Played with him at Glenavon. He was a great wee all-round player, hard in the tackle, skillful in the ball. Put you in mind of a David Body type player, wasn't just a tackler, was very, 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 very good in the ball, could distribute it, and as he got older, played little Glentoran well into his 30s. So he was a great wee all-rounder. Stephen McAlorum. Mackers, remember him now? Would have played for Donegal Celtic.
Yeah,
I really
even
thought
then, he was very good. I always remember he was kind of one of the standout players, probably the standout players.
Yeah, he was. It was a very good wee player that I played with. Enjoyed playing with him for a season or 2.
And maybe does he fit the bill for the next one? Player that got better with age?
No, a good thing. Who got better with age? I thought Stevie Boyd. Stevie. I'm sure you know Stephen Boyd.
Yeah.
Stephen Boyd would have been there. when I came back from a sort of second spell after the illness, Stephen had just come into the squad. And I go back to Stephen way back. When I was 2 or 3, Stephen Boyd had friends that had holiday homes in Donegal. And I would have been playing on the beach with Stevie Boyd 35 years ago when I was a wee toddler. I remember Stevie from there. So Stevie Stephen Boyd had come into the team under Kieran. Him and Kieran are big mates, I think. And he was a midfielder, but Kieran put him back in. Obviously, Kieran put him into right back because he was getting older. And Boyd, he just excelled at right back. Never broke sweat, never broke a stride. But he had pedigree. He was obviously over at Port Vale, one of the other many talented players from Lurgan around that area that went across the water. And with Stephen, you knew what you were going to get. With really good players with a good head, you know exactly what they're going to do. They're predictable. So I knew when the ball was coming down, I said, he's not going to slash this. He's going to chase this down and pass it inside of me. So when I was playing midfield, Stephen made the game easy for me. He's always passing a lot of ball in you and getting you involved in the game. I always would like to get a few early touches. So Stevie Boyd, again, timed his tackles well, didn't dive in. Passed when he had to pass, sent it when he had to send it, and played well into his 30s very competently as an older player, which I thought was amazing. But again, he had that pedigree. He had played at a high level. He had a good brain, good touch, and used his head. I'll go Stevie Boyd.
Brilliant. It's funny you say that. You spoke about Kieran Toner being the guy that that sort of inspired you.
Yeah, he did. Kieran was a big inspiration.
Yeah, well, Stevie was sort of that same guy for me. A few years older than me, but I was there when he was making the moves to Port Vale, and he'd have been playing a few years older than us, and he would have kicked
that's it.
You'd aspire to be, and
that's it.
Down, so
that's it.
And again, Stevie's a lovely fella and humble with it.
Great,
and,
great fella, yeah.
On.
Yeah, and again, so those players, they sort of let you know, because there actually is a way. If I play well for Sunnyside, there is people watching, there is a chance. So again, they do pave the way. And even Kieran out in the street, you'd see him out kicking, doing his toe taps in the street. So you'd start doing what he's doing to be like him. Yeah. But that's only because you loved it. You wouldn't do it if you didn't love having a ball at your feet,
Oh, absolutely. And even still, I remember I have memories of Stevie Boyd, bigging us up, as kids a few years younger than him. And giving
great
that
fella,
back sort of thing.
Just again, a guy, even if he didn't play football, you just be fond of him as a fella,
And again, he's now involved coaching at Sunnyside as well. So a lot of kids are fortunate to be under the hand, as you say, complete footballer all around.
Brilliant guy to have round. Yeah.
All right, so player who always gives 100%.
Do you know what? There's only one player springs to mind. There's a lot of players that give 100% over the year, but one will always spring to mind just from the age of 20 to 30. And a good friend of yours now, wee Smurf, Ryan Murphy. Wee Smurf. He was renowned for it. He wasn't the biggest in the pitch, but he had the heart of a lion, and he would pull out of nothing. And he just was the most honest player you could ever come across, And maybe underrated. I think maybe could have played at a higher level than he did. But again, just probably one like a lot of us boys didn't speak up for ourselves, too quiet off the pitch, and some guys that are maybe overlooked because they don't do enough talking off the pitch, which you can't talk yourself into, positions and moves and getting moves at better clubs. Which is, I'd always say to younger players, don't be afraid to speak up to yourself, because I never did. Which is maybe something I would be passing on to younger players if they are listening or they are. You have to know when to stand your ground and fight your corner,
Big time. Well, wee Murph is giving it beans at the over 35s at the minute, so.
Brilliant. Well, there you go. I'm sure he's the same.
He still has them attributes that you just mentioned.
He always will, yeah. He'll never let you down. You'll never see him turning up unprepared or, giving off or something.
Shin pads or anything?
No way. And he'd always turn up in time, like he wouldn't be 8 or 9 minutes late.
He's less hair now. His fringe is a wee bit further back than whenever it's more his fringe is kind of his crown actually.
Right. Well, listen, me and you are probably quite grey by now, so we can't really talk.
I'm saying I'm both grey and bald, so we'll leave that conversation there. Conor, thank you. That's the Keepie Uppies questions. Tots has a wee bit of controversial questions for you, and we'll kick on.
Right, no problem. Go for it now. Far away.
How long I have to wait on the sound? I don't proceed unless Richie plays his sound effects.
Bear with me. I have a new one this week.
Oh, do you? Okay.
There you go.
I think you should stick to the old one, to be honest with you.
All right, revert back. Give me a second.
Okay.
Give me a second.
That's better. I like that one.
There you go.
It's nothing too serious, Conor. As a centre half, I want you to tell us who you think is the best centre back in your opinion, and also why in Premier League history. I'm going to take out Vidic and Ferdinand for obvious reasons.
Okay. It's quite easy for me.
Okay.
Right. John Terry.
How do you know even John Terry's one of the guys I was going to shortlist for you?
Sorry. He has to be.
Go on ahead, what?
Right.
You've just ruined it. I haven't even...
Sorry, I didn't know the game. You should have explained
Richie,
that
make sure you check this out. So your choice is John Terry, right. Virgil van Dijk, Vincent Kompany, or Tony Adams.
Right. 3. Virgil van Dijk can't go into the conversation just yet now because he hasn't won enough. Kompany,
comes in
unbelievable
shout.
Right.
Okay, using that argument. Okay.
Kompany, in time, Van Dijk might be in there, but Kompany, great shout. Tony Adams, another great shout. I just think accomplishments, longevity, and for being unflustered. John Terry was a brilliant distributor of the ball. So I'm saying he's the best centre back in Premier League history because he did it for the longest time, the longest period, won a lot of honours and was good right up until his mid-30s. Vincent Kompany, I would say, had better attributes. Vincent Kompany had pace and power, which Terry didn't have pace, but Kompany after 30 with injury or worries he had just didn't do it as long as John Terry. So yeah, I'll have to go with John Terry. He popped up with plenty of goals from headers, good leader, yeah.
To be fair to you, I have to totally agree. I'd go John Terry. I don't know about you, Richie, but
I'll be honest with you,
Virgil, I probably agree with Conor. He probably does need to. I suppose I was just focusing more on attributes rather than trophies, but at the same time, it helps obviously when you've won everything. John Terry. John Terry, I'd love to know how many goals he scored, but
listen,
I'd say he scored about 50, 60 goals.
But attribute-wise, Van Dijk and Kompany are better players. They're superior and athletically, so they are. Definitely they'll win. They're bigger, more. But John Terry was very dominant. You
never seen him get caught out. Yes, he might have had less pace, but positionally he was always and probably underrated in terms of his whole distribution. His passing was
passing. He was very deliberate with everything he did. A ball would fly in. He wouldn't be swiping at it and seeing it go out for a corner or out for it would be a side foot cushion pass out to the left back, or he's very deliberate with everything. Then I watched him play live a couple of times and unbelievable.
40 goals he scored. He's the highest scoring defender in Premier League history with 40 goals.
Yeah, again, as off the pitch, he probably wasn't that popular guy because I don't obviously as a person he leaves a bit desired, but as a player you can't deny how good he was.
Yeah.
But not popular for obvious reasons with a lot of rival fans
and wives.
Yes.
Richie, what were you going to say? Would you?
I was just going to fight a corner for Tony Adams. I think I'm a little bit older than these guys, and I was an admirer of Tony Adams as a centre half growing up.
Unbelievable.
He had great attributes, and again a leader on and off the pitch. Again, what he done away from football maybe didn't serve him best, but he certainly kicked that Arsenal team into gear in the Premier League.
Tony Adams, a fantastic player, and had Keown beside him, but provided the pace. You know what the funny thing was, Richie? I remember my dad, when I had that trial for Arsenal, Tony Adams was the captain. And my dad goes, well, listen how much faith my dad had me. He goes, so Conor, listen, you're 13 now. Tony Adams coming to the end. You'll be 18 in 5 years. You'll be replacing Tony Adams as Arsenal centre back. How wrong he could be, but listen, I admire his faith. But that would have been a dream come true. But obviously, a lot of things.
Here, Conor,
ability, yes.
Did you play against Dennis Bergkamp? Or was that? I remember Kieran
that was Kieran Turner.
I know, and he did talk about. But I thought maybe you also played a reserve match against him as well for Leicester.
No, I played against Cesc Fabregas.
All right, he was all right too.
Good for you, good players now to play against. No, I didn't know who he was back in the day. Though I didn't know who he was till years later.
Right, last thing. It's not really a question, but what advice? You kind of touched on it. Any young players that. We were just chatting, a couple of podcasts, Richie, where we've said the pathways changed slightly now. Players are nearly heading over a wee bit later. You look at young Oisin Smith, who's went over to Oxford United, and he's kind of 2021. And Stuart Dallas, who went over a bit late. So it seems to be a wee bit different. But anyway, what advice would you give to young players going over? You've kind of given one bit of advice about speaking up for yourself, but anything else you would advise them?
Yeah, I would advise massively now is the strength and conditioning side of things, and that's me. I'm a personal trainer as my profession, but it can't be overlooked now how important it is. And again, I only started to develop physically 5 years after that move home, because I educated myself on how you had to train in the gym and all. And I've actually got 2 Irish League players on my books. I train a young lad, Ethan McGee, who's Dungannon Swift's right back, and he comes into me twice a week. Very dedicated lad. John Scott is at Loughgall. He's playing left back for Loughgall. I'm just rehabbing a wee injury for him at the minute. But these 2 guys at 20 are what I was at 26, because they've 3-4 years of gym work under their belt. Fantastic shape, both standing 6 foot tall, lean, strong, powerful, doing all the right stuff. I'd say once you hit 15, 16, get your strength and conditioning work done, because it's not enough to be just a talented player. You need to be an athlete now at these levels. And these boys are going to get themselves the best chance to progress the game. And and possibly another wee bit of advice is don't let your parents, your dads, get carried away with where you're at as a player, because I have a few parents that were pushing their sons at 10, 11, 13 towards me to convince their sons were going to make it in the Premiership in England, because they'd scored a hat-trick for Lurgan Town under 12s that weekend, and I think it puts unfair pressure on the kids, And then if they don't make it, it's across, or they don't get a trial at 16, they're panicking, thinking they're a failure. So just enjoy it, work hard, get your strength and conditioning work in, and above all, do it for the right reason. If there's passion there for the game, just enjoy it and see where it takes you. You mightn't end up where you want to be, but enjoy the journey, because you look back and it'll be gone in the blink of an eye. I'm looking back now, 20 year of games have just went in a flash of an eye there, blink of an eye. Yeah. So enjoy the journey too. That's the advice.
Sound advice.
No, great. And say it's been a hell of a journey you've been on, Conor, and thank you.
And listen, very, very humble achievements. Not the most spectacular career by all means. Achieved very little and didn't win much. But again, far from the other players you've had on, have had much more decorated careers. But listen, I enjoyed it, and I got a lot of personal satisfaction from it. And I'm glad you actually wanted me on to even hear about it for all it was. But lots of memories, and hopefully enjoyed hearing a few stories.
No, absolutely. As I said, it'll keep you up. Everybody's story's relevant, and we can all draw on it, and it's nice to raise people up and say keep you up in the corner, catching up with old football friends and making new ones. Yeah.
So. It's an honour to be on. I say everyone, it'd be nice to have an Irish League legend playing for your big team, but at the end of the day, there's all levels to Irish League football. You have your championship ones, your mid-Ulster, and I think everyone's wee journey is relevant to them whenever they're in the pipe and slippers. When they're old men, they'll always look back at the Gordon playing fields and their youth days as fondly,
100%.
And we got a question in as well. I forgot about it, from Celtic 67 at Dunkers 1967.
That's what
1967's referring to. What happened then? Did you know? 67?
I don't know. The Scottish team done something then, didn't it?
Was it? Was that the time that just won one European Cup and nonsense? Can you ask him, when is he coming back to Lurgan Celtic, please? And it's come out emoji.
Tell Donny when they get a crash, I will be back. that can cater for babies and newborns and toddlers. I'll definitely come, and I can take the 3 of them with me.
Sun Crush, whatever that is. Sun Crush.
Yes.
I wonder if that's Sun Crush. Is he 1967 too? A Football Manager legend. I do actually remember your ratings were very good in Football Manager. I was trying to find them out earlier, but
God, they must have got them wrong. Well, yeah.
And then Buckshot was saying you were a solid 8 out of 10 every match.
Oh, that's nice of Buckshot to say. Say Buckshot, yeah. I've been in the battle with Buckshot for years and years and years, so it's nice of him to remember me as someone that did reasonably well for the club, for the Hoops anyway. Yeah, we played a lot of football together. I probably shared the midfield with him a lot of times as well. Again, he was the the one that was going to be doing the skillful stuff and the passes, the final pass and the cross. Now is maybe more the engine room, but again, enjoyed playing with Buckshot too.
And Buckshot's still playing, and now he's playing at centre back. So
right, he's moving back. Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
Yeah,
brilliant that he's still playing.
Yeah.
We leave it there, lads.
That looks like it. Yeah, it's brilliant.
I really enjoyed that.
Yes, so right. You're very welcome, Richie. Thank you for having me on. Thanks, Nell. It's good to get talking to you, even though we don't live that far away.
Anytime you want to drop over a wee fish shopper, I wouldn't mind it these days.
Oh, no problem.
Fish shopper, a wee bit of red sauce.
Right, listen.
Thursday night,
make sure you're not
hold your breath.
Thursday night, you can hit the courthouse. It's early, yeah.
We're going to hit the courthouse now. We could indeed. Have you worked tomorrow, Nell?
Aye.
Do you know what? Is it?
What were you going to say?
How much is a pint now? It must be about £9, is it?
It's probably about 20 quid now with this flipping.
Right.
Especially like starting to sound like old men now.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been in the courthouse now, but listen, we'll have to get a wee pint sometime soon.
Do you know what I actually had a wee sip of? I did actually try a wee vodka on slime, and Jesus, it is absolutely horrific. I don't even know how we drank that.
Must have ripped the stomach out of you, didn't it? God, the thought of it turns me now. I remember I stopped drinking vodka. Richie, I stopped drinking vodka after the cricket pitch. Remember, Now we went one day, we were camping out, we decided to go to the cricket pitch and with no mixer. By the way, anyone, I wasn't a big drinker, just when I was with
You're taking us out, aren't you?
Not at all, this is all gold.
Don't young players don't do this, but we went to with no mixer, we were just ending up drinking vodka. Drinking raw vodka out of the bottle at the cricket pitch, and God, I don't think I've touched vodka from that evening now.
I don't even know what it was. Even worse than Glen's.
You were mixing it with strawberry milkshake. You were taking a swig of vodka and then drinking strawberry milkshake, weren't you? True or false, Nell?
Yeah, I probably did, because anything to get that taste. Oh, Jesus, just even the thought of it. But,
God, I don't know, Nell. That was a lifetime ago. We were in a bad place, I think. Anyone would be ringing the St. Martins on us now if we were doing that now. Anyway,
no different than any other kid doing it. God's sake.
Yeah, well, that's what you said. Over 35s, get your boots out. I always remember you. It's only you and Paddy O'Connor that I always remember used to get the dobbin out for your boots. Just used to be absolutely gleaming and he had the Ireland Saturday night shoved up them. He had the papers and everything. Paddy O'Connor is the same.
Another boys, look after
dedication for you.
Look after your boots and they'll look after you. I think I would have got about 3 seasons out of a pair of Nike Campos because they didn't crack because I had the dobbin on them,
That sounds like something your daddy would have said, Conor. I'm sure that was an old trick from Paddy.
Daddy McGuinness, look after the boots and the boots
Bunker
look after
McGuinness,
you.
So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't look professional, you won't be professional. If you want to look professional, you gotta. If you want to be professional, you gotta look professional. Clean boots, and I've cleaned my boots religiously from I was 12 till I was 35. They're still hanging up in the shed, gleaming, covered in dobbin now, ready to go whenever the wife gives me a Saturday off. I will play football again at some stage, just don't know when.
It's only a Sunday. You don't even need to worry about a Saturday, and it's 40 minutes and a half.
No, that's it. Every second Sunday.
There you are. So it's not even every Sunday.
Right. Well, okay.
Is that okay? Yeah, okay.
Won't rule it out.
I'll be on a pitch at some stage again before I'm 40, but when I do not know.
Very good. Well, listen, we'll let you get back to the children and the wife. Thank you for your time.
Hopefully they're sleeping now. I'll get the feet up and put a cup of tea on with some cheese and toast. Right.
Brilliant.
Guys, thank you very much for having me on. Enjoyed that.
Good chat,
Good laugh. I'll hope to see you all soon. All right, man.
No problem.
Take it easy.
Okay. God bless.
Bye. Chat to you soon.
Bye. Bye.